Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Asian report, and starting with the ASX 200 here. Now the move up through here counts well really as wave 1 and 2 and 3 here and 4 here, and then we've been looking at this as wave 5 here. There's a good chance too that it could be wave 1 and 2 here, because the structure within here is more defined like a third wave would be, in terms of having almost an extension in here, but it's just bigger wave structure. But it could be an extended fifth wave here as well, so that's the problem. Now in this little move up through here, if we do count this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, then this one's going to terminate in this space here. Now we know that BHP is moving up, so if I can just bring BHP across here for a moment, we knew that, well, I knew that this here was a corrective pattern. It's just not very clear which is the best way to count it. So this is still got further to go, because this is a good accumulation process here, so it doesn't really equal the distribution process here yet. So there'll be further upside to this, and we're also seeing this in some of the other stocks such as Newcrest as well, pushing higher. So it will put a bit of pressure on the banking system, but just to show you that this would be the sector that's driving any upside movements from here. So really we've been looking at, so the other point here too is that this level here, 6,300, if this market is going to fail, then this is where it can fail from. Otherwise, if it finds a nice tested support on top of this level here, which it hasn't done yet, if it does do that, then we can push up to 6.5. But I can't call that trade in here yet until we've got a nice support here. On the downside of things too, which we should talk about, is that at any stage, if the 6,200 becomes the retested resistance here, then the market will be pulled down to the closest largest number at 6,000 here. So we need to be mindful of that. So these two levels on the outskirts of things will help us a lot. A tested support here will send it up here, and tested resistance at number 2 here. This is group 1 here, 100, 200 and 300, but 1, 2 and 3. So number 2 is important in a bull market, because if it becomes the resistance, then it's going to be pulled back, and then if we get support here, then it's going to push up. So it's really helpful at least knowing these two levels here. So we just need to be a little bit patient in all of this here. So just going to the 4-hour chart and picking it up from this particular low here, I've got it as wave 2 here, but that doesn't really matter, because in terms of counting this up here in any count, we can count this as wave 1 and 2 here. I suppose it's possible to also put wave 1 here as well, and wave 2 here, and then have this as 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 and a very small fifth wave here. So that's possible as well, and that makes sense. But it still leaves us with wave 4 in this space here, and then up for wave 5 for a third wave of 1 degree or another. And then we're looking at this here, which as I mentioned before, we can count this as an A and a B and a C here. That's quite nice like that. But also too, if this pulls down too far over here, then we'll have to look at all of this as a triangle pattern across here. I don't want to put, it's possible to have wave 5 sitting on this little high here, but I don't really know how to work the correction in that way, because if it was a triangle, we'll need all of this as the A wave, and a B wave here, and then this would be a C wave here. So we'd still need a D wave in here. So it doesn't count as a triangle in this particular case. So it's a little bit sort of odd to do that just yet here. So what we can do now is we can certainly put that on top here, because if we find a nice tested support on that 6.3 here, then we can start counting this to the upside, and we can leave this as wave 1 here, an A wave and a B wave and a C wave here, and then looking for higher ground here. So with this here too, in terms of supporting this move to the upside, if we took this here as a smaller wave 1 to the upside, then we would need to look at the 50-60% retracement level, which is down here. So really we don't want to see that breached there either, this level here, because we would need to look at this here as an A wave down to here, a B wave back up here, and a C wave down through to here. And we'll look at that in a bit more detail. So from there it can push up there, and we can look at this as wave 1 here, which we were doing that on Friday anyway with this. So but we still don't have, we don't have a powerful setup to take us higher at this stage here. So if it's going to fail, this is where it's going to fail here. So that means failing here. It means it's failing to find support on this particular level here. So, but looking at it all, it's looking at all of this corrective move here in terms of the width of this should really equal the height of this squaring time up here to price up this side here. But we just don't have a setup for this yet. The other count for all of this across here as well, if I could just go to the 2-hour chart that we were looking at the other day here, it's a little bit different here, but it could count here as this is makes a nice A, B, and C wave here for this. So it's possible that this can be an A wave here, then an A and a B and a C wave up here for a B wave here, and then down for a C wave here for wave 4, and then pushing up through here. So there's a lot to consider just at the meantime through here as well. What we can work is this little structure in here that we'll get to in here. In terms of the 1-hour chart that we were trading along with. So in that case we were looking for wave 3 here, an A and a B and a C for wave 4 that fits okay, then wave 1, an A and a B and a C here for wave 2, and then we were counting 5 waves up here, and I've got this little pattern here. So obviously I talked about if this market found support on top of group 1 here, well 6,300 is group 1, which is minor group 1, and then we have sub-level group 1, which is 10, 20 and 30 here, 1, 2, 3. So if we'd found support on this one here, then we can go long from that point there, but we haven't got that support there. It failed at that point, and this move coming down through here now is the ABC pattern that we're looking at. So far it's down in 3 waves, but it's likely to go down in 5 and then have a B wave here, and what's the C wave? 265, that's right. So looking really here, if I can just clean this up a little bit here now. So there's a lot I don't know here, but there is stuff that we do know here. So so in this case here, looking at this, we'll look at this on the tick chart in a moment, but there's still one more wave to come down here, then an A and a B and a C to come back up here, and then 5 waves to complete this structure here. So I guess, in the bigger picture, we couldn't turn bearish, I guess. I mean, we talked about 6,200. That would give us a bearish signal from there. But even coming down to this space here, it's, if this is going to be an A wave and a B wave here and a C wave here, then it's likely that our group 2 here is going to become a resistance in here, and the 72 is going to become a resistance in here as well. So that's not going to be that valuable for us. Let's just have a look on the tick chart here. So in here, what I can see here is from the top here, I can see 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So that's wave 1, and then back for wave 2. So I'm assuming all of this is wave 3 here, and this is, well, I think it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to here or to here. But I think there's a little bit more to go down here first. I can't draw on this side of the price here, but we're currently near a low here, because if we looked at this trend here, we would have to say that that bar there would be the center of the trend. So I do think there's some more to come down here before we see a bounce off this support area through here, and then come back up and then down again through here. So we could only really go long You know, if we got, well, if we got, we'll talk about being long above this one here. And I'll just put that in there. That's sort of on the outskirts of things. I mean, we have seen the US markets come off, stocks in the Nasdaq there. We could, so there's going to be pressure there for a little while. So we could also go long here too on 63.20. So 63.20 and 63.30 are the long trades. We could look at being long down here as well once this is played out a little bit further through here. Once again, the 50-60% retracement level is down here in this space here, so that's where we're sort of looking for. So anything through that, then we know that we've got more of a bear market, larger correction occurring at that particular stage. So that's about all I know at this stage here. So we just need to gather more information, and it's going to take time. Any upside support will come from probably the BHP side of things, or the resource side of things, rather than the banking side of things. But anyway, there we go. Let's just allow this correction to play out until we've got some sort of idea about it, and hopefully that will eventually, maybe out of 2 trading sessions, we'll get support on this level over here. If we don't, well, then we'll be looking at a more bearish side over here, but we do need to allow this to play out here before we do anything. So off to the China Hang Seng, Nikkei and Nifty. So with those here, there's no real sort of change in here. The earnings report from Facebook hasn't really affected China as such. So this move up through here that I was counting, I still got to stay with it because we've only got 3 waves up here as such. So even when I look at this on the 1 hour chart as well, I can see from this low here, we can look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5. We look at this as wave 1 and ABC for wave 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we definitely only got 3 waves up here. So 1 and 2 and 3 here. So we'll need to see 5 here. But at the same time, this one here is giving me 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So it's showing like a bearish sort of pattern here as well. So I'm a bit stumped of why we've only got 3 waves here for this. It appears that we've got 5 from here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. Then a corrective move. So we should be seeing another 5 move up through into this space here. So I think there's still more to go up here. So I'm unsure about this one, and also so today's a video about being unsure, and this is the same as the Hang Seng too. So from its move up from its low here, we've only got wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So I've been looking at this as a wave 4 here. Obviously we've got a new low here and so on, but yeah, we haven't sunken much, we haven't overlapped the top of wave 1 here as such. So we do need to stay with what we have here at this stage, and let's see if we move higher from this point here. So yeah. Okay, so moving on to the Nikkei, and having pressure on the US is putting slight pressure around unease in all the long trades really. So with this market here, we've been looking at this little move up here. So let's go in and have a little look at that. There'll be different ways to count this. So in moving up through here, we've only, in this move up here, this is where we need to be careful, as mentioned before. We've only got 3 waves as 1 and 2 and 3 here. So I could label it blue 1, blue 2 and blue 3 and blue 4 here, because we haven't overlapped wave 1 here. So that's possible, but the more logical point for this would either be wave 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2 here, and then moving up from that point there. Now Of course, the other thing moving up here is that we can look at it as an A wave and a B wave and a C wave through here, so as a corrective rally against this here, because we haven't taken out. If we'd taken out a new, if this move here had taken out of this new high here, then it would confirm that we're moving higher, but we're not. So we could be in a larger correction with all of this here as well. The move up here that we've been long on is not going very. It's not moving up that well. So what we need to do here is we'll need to put this stop up here. Let's just go to an hourly chart first and let me have a look at that. See, if we get, I can see we've got 1 and 2 in here and 3 here and 4 here. So if we do get a fifth wave here, then we're going to get an A and a B and a C here, and then we're going to get another 5 here. So that's going to take us down lower from there, and then we don't really want to be going any lower than taking that high and that low here. We don't want to be going any lower than that. So really we need to stay that there, the 22,500 there is the cutoff there. So if we put that there, if that became the retested resistance, then we'd need to look for short trades at that stage. So I'll just put that in red there so we know what we're looking at there. So if that becomes the resistance there, any long trades that you need to get out. But it does count quite nicely up as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. It's above the 61.8% mark, but yeah, because if this becomes the resistance, then it's going to be coming down here further. So you would need to be short from that point there. So yeah, let's see how that pans out. And also the Nifty as well has been a catalyst on the bullish side of things. So yeah, it's bullish, and there's a couple of ways to look at this in terms of this moving up here. First of all, we've got 11,000, so this is the closest largest number in this case, and we've got group 1, which is 1, 2 and 3 here. So in the first instance here, if this market was going to fail or have a correction, then it's going to do it from the 300 here, the top of group 1 here, and normally we would have the arrival, the reaction in 3 waves, then a push up through here, and then we would see the larger correction unfold here. Okay, that's the normal pattern that we would see here. In terms of counting this to the upside here, if I'm counting this here as wave 1 and 2 here and then 3 here, if I counted it to 4 here, then I'd have to look at this as 1 and 2 here. But if I had wave 4 over here, which I was a bit happier with, really, so I'll just lighten that one out a little bit. So being wave 4 here would still leave us with wave 1 and 2 here and 3 here, and would need to be wave 4 here and then wave 5 up. So it's probable that we'll get some sort of correction here and then wave 5 to the upside here. So that would be the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level here, and then we would have that correction here. So in a nutshell here too, we would only turn bearish here if the 11,200 became the retested resistance, and it's okay for this market to spike down to 11,000. I always just see it halfway between 1 and 2, the 1.5 here. Normally it will just bounce off this one here, but a lot of the time it'll actually spike down to here and then move up. So you just got to be a little bit mindful of that. So if you're going to turn bearish, you really want that to be, you know, really locked under there strongly under that before we turn. So number 2 turns us bearish, and that's been a bit of a theme for today on this. But yeah, that's what we're looking at here. So so there's not going to be great trading here either, and in the other markets as well. So really Monday and Tuesday are markets that are days that are going to be sort of correcting and doing things, but we may be able to come out bullish on this a little bit later in the week for most of these markets. But let's just see how each one travels, because we have to take each one individually as well, even though they can move en masse. All right, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.